just adjust my computer. And then everyone, we're going to start in child's pose, my favorite. So any version as you want. We're going to be here for a minute. So if you want to bring your pillars, blocks, anything like that, let's get comfortable. So you're going to be able to see my shape of my body, but not necessarily my face at the moment. So for me, actually, I do like a wide leg. So you can have your knees together. You can have a pillow underneath your chest if you want to, because we're just there. You can have pillows underneath your knees, especially if you're in a hard surface. You can have pillows on your between your feet and your knees. That's sometimes a good one. And that if you don't have very good flexibility in your knees, that stops that a little bit, and then you're able to rest your bum on the pillows. Get into a position that you find comfortable. And you can have your hands stretched out front. You can have them in a T position, or you can have them by your side, hands behind you. And we just take the first few minutes of any yoga class to settle down. Relax and breathe. I want you to take a big deep breath in, and I want you to really press out the exhale. 2, 3, relax. Take a deep breath in and really press the exhale out. 2, 3, 4. One last time, deep breath in. Breathe out. 4, 3, 2, 1. And just relax and maybe sink a little deeper into your child's pose of your choice. The chest feels heavy, hips are heavy. Hopefully you have something to support your head so you can relax your neck and shoulders. And today, or this week, is Mental Health Week, and yoga just fits in perfectly with that. So ways we can improve mental health or keep it ticking over nicely. Self-care. So big cups of tea, long bath, yoga, reading, journaling, those kind of things. Looking after yourself, making yourself happy, giving yourself those little things. They're great ways. Physical health helps with mental health. They're also connected. Diet, and I'm not talking about calories, I'm talking about what you put in. Sugar also affects the brain and your gut, and can not help with mental health. Caffeine. Looking after your body, making sure that it's physically well in some sort of capacity, does boost mental health. The exercise releases endorphins, whether it's something hardcore like running or you know, a lower impact like yoga, again, is going to help. They say connecting relationships, and that's with just people in general, your neighbors, your family. And I know we can't meet people at the moment, but FaceTiming, Zooming, even right now, this working out together or doing a yoga class together, and although we're not in the same room, we still are sharing the energy and building relationships that way. And then my last little tip for mental health is to know what triggers you are. And that comes into what we was doing last week about self-study. So my self-study, what I've realized is that too much social media does not help my mental health. Too much caffeine does not help my mental health. So knowing my triggers and limiting them. So if what's going on in the Virgin world, social media world, perhaps staying or limiting your time on social media may also help with your mental health. So lots of little things that we can work on, some involving yoga, some involving other bits that we can do for our body. Today, we're going to work with an equal breath, equal energy. So if you can, maybe you can match your inhale to your exhale. So your in-breath matches your out-breath. And you can do this by counting if you want to. Counting in for 4, out for 4. Or you can do it intuitively and just go with it. See what comes. Just spending time equaling out the breath. The first few are always ragged. And they eventually start to smooth out. And your breath becomes like a wave. The inhale rolls gently into the exhale. If you have any pillows or bolsters or anything under your chest, just move them out of the way for the moment. I want you to take your arms outstretched in extended child's pose. And then I want you to push through the fingertips and activate the muscles in your arms. Now, this is an intense stretch, and if it's too much, then just widen your hands. They can be even wider than the mat if that helps. So you'll feel the muscles pulling up, your shoulder blades sucking in the arms as your fingertips press into the floor. So just bringing in some life, some activity now. Keep the breath. And then you can relax the hands, and I want you to walk them over to the left. Walk your hands over to the left. It'll take your torso with you just a little bit, and hold it where you can feel a stretch on the right side body. And breathe. Fingertips, armpits, ribs, hips, all getting a stretch. Maybe you can breathe into that right lung, that right side body, making it bigger on every inhale. Walking your hands back to the center. I'm going to take it to the other side. So walking your hands to the right. Stop where you feel the pull, feel the stretch. If this stretch is intense and it takes your breath away, move it back a little bit, bring the breath back in. And remember that our bodies are not equal, our lifestyle separates that. So for me, this side is not nearly as flexible as the other. And breathe. Creating space in your armpit, your hip, and that space in between. And walking it back to center. Walking your hands in. We're going to keep our knees parted. So if you have child's pose with your knees together, then just part them slightly. We're going to go for a different variation of cat-cow. So take your hands out in front, coming up to all four, but your knees are wide. And if you can, let your toes connect, then do that. If you've got any wrist injuries, sometimes it's nicer just to take your hands out slightly in front of the shoulders. If not, bring them underneath the shoulders. So we're going to do a cat-cow. We're going to elongate it. So we're going to breathe in, drop the belly, lift the hips, lift the chin and chest. And then we're going to breathe out, tuck the pelvis under, roll the spine, and then push back our bum onto our heels. Breathing in, we're going to come between our hands with our head and chest, and we're going to go back into that cow position. So arching of the back, hips to the sky, chest to the sky. And breathing out, tucking the pelvis under, scooping the belly up, rounding the back, and dropping back. Nice. A few more. So breathing in, taking your head and chest through the elbows, through the hands, lifting. Breathing out, rolling. Can you make it more like a wave? So continuous. Breathing in, cow. Breathing out, cat. So just waking up the spine, bringing in movement, breathing in. Very gentle, breathing out. And then hold it here in that child's pose, wide-legged. Bring your knees slightly together, tuck your toes, and lift your hips into our first downward dog, keeping the knees bent. Although we've not really warmed up the hamstrings too much. Finding the right placement for you. Walk the feet out, pad through the feet, walk the dog, stretching your Achilles, your calves. And then when you're ready, drop your knees to the earth. Sitting up tall into a kneeling position. We're just going to have a few lunges here. So let's hands on the floor. You're going to just lift the hips and you're going to propel back slightly and then shoot the right leg forward. Give it a helping hand if you need to. So you're aiming the right foot to outside of the right hand. Placing your hands on the floor, or if you want to, you can use your pillow to get a little bit of height, or your cushions if you've got a sturdy one, and then just sink into that left hip. The left hip flexor, the left psoas. You've got a compression of the right hip. You want right knee over right ankle, really getting in. Breathe. If you sit all day, this is a killer. When you're ready, place your hands on the floor. Bring your right knee to meet the left. Come back, propel the left forward to the outside of the left hand. Sink in. I realize that I am a shadow, but as long as you can see my shape. Sink into that right hip now. Is this side tighter than the other side? Is it more open? Keeping the chest lifted and the spine long, don't sink in. Breathe, feel the stretch. And then bringing that left knee to meet the right. Tuck your toes, walk your hands back so that you come up to on your toes. You're going to stand up tall, however you mean to. So we're now in almost like a Tadasana. You're going to walk to the front of the mat in a tightrope. So you're going to use very balanced, and I want you just to put one foot in front of the other, slowly and gently. And if you can do it without looking at the floor, just test your balance. Stay grounding. You have to feel every muscle in your foot to be comfortable, to be safe. You just walk into the front of the mat. And when you get there, have a moment in Tadasana. Take your feet as wide as you want them to be. They're either close together, hip width, or any lower back problems, or because it feels good, take it almost as wide as the mat. Tuck your tailbone under, push through the feet, lift up on the thighs. Navel to spine, shoulder back and down. Your crown of your head lifted, chin is tucked. Hands are light and airy. Breathe. I'm just going to do a couple of sun salutations to warm the body up. We've already warmed the hips and the legs up, so hopefully the lunges are not too taxing on our bodies. So breathing in, lift your arms overhead. Looking at your hands, if you want to, maybe they meet. And breathing out, swan dive forward with a flat back. Take your arms wide, slowly reach for the ground, bend your knees. This time we're going to add in a half height. So breathe in, lift your head and chest half height. Tuck the chin in. And breathe out, maybe get a little deeper into your forward fold, bend the knees. Step back with the right as far as you can. Drop the knee, untuck the toe if you wish, have the shoelaces to the mat, or you can keep the toe tucked. Navel to spine, grow the crown of your head long. Breathing in, you can lift your arms overhead, or you can bring your hands to heart center. Feeling that stretch in the hips. Place your hands on the ground. Step back with the left so your knees meet. You're going to breathe in, reach forward, and breathe out, clipping the elbows in, just lower slowly to the ground, just slowly as you can, and controlled. Place your hands by your side, palms up or down. Push your hips into the mat and grow your legs long and lift. So it's not about the height of the leg, it's about the length of the leg. Squeeze your bum, navel to spine, hips push into the mat. And relax down. Place your hands by those ribs, tuck your toes. Can you push back into a downward dog? Nice. Drop in the left knee. You're going to propel that right knee forward into that lunge position. Walking the foot in slightly between your hands. Sink into that left hip. Grow long. Either lift up, arms overhead, bicep by ears, or hands at heart center. Placing your hands back down in line with your feet. Tuck the back toe. Bring it towards the front of your mat in line with the right foot. Grow a little bit longer. Get a little heavier in the upper body for the forward fold. Place your hands on your hips. Clip your elbows back, your shoulder blades back. Bend your knees, flatten your back. Push through the feet. Come up to standing. We're going to connect the sun salutations here. So breathe in. Lift your arms overhead. Breathe out, fold forward again. So there was no break in between there. Into your forward fold. Bend your knees if you have to so that your hands meet the mat. Step back as far as you can with the right leg. Drop with the left leg. Drop the left knee down. Toes untucked or laces. Toes tucked or laces to the mat. Grow tall, breathe in, lift up. Can you bring your biceps by your ears? Maybe lift the breastbone slightly. I love this one, it's very powerful, the lunge. Hands back to the mat. Bring the right knee to meet the left. Growing, getting strong, navel to spine. This is your half plank position. Grow forward and then lower to the ground, very gently. Take your arms out long. Push your hips into the mat. Breathe in, lift your feet. Point the toes, pull up on the thighs. It's very active. Hips into the mat, squeeze your bum. Keep breathing. And relax down. Place your hands by your ribs and push back into downward dog. Nice. Drop the right knee down, propel the left foot forward, by your hand. Maybe walk it in a bit. Grow long. Breathe in, lift overhead. Hands to heart center is the other option. Hands on the mat. Tuck the toes. Bring that right foot to meet left. Hands on your hips. Clip the elbows. Shoulder blades back. Bend the knees. Flatten the back. Push through the feet. Lift your arms overhead. Let them meet in the sky. Bring them down to heart center. Have 2 breaths here. Just feel the warm energy that you've created running through the body. And try and bring back that equal breath. Maybe you lost it as you was focusing on the moves and what comes next, and that is completely normal. But you know Tadasana, you know this mountain pose, so you can bring the breath back. And right now I can feel the sun on my face, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And this is my self-care. We're going to do it one more time, the Sun Salutation. Breathing in, take your arms overhead, look to the sky, lift the breastbone. Breathing out, folding forward, swan dive, flat back, bend the knees, let your hands meet the ground, let your head be heavy. We're going to breathe in, lift the head and chest half height, tabletop position, tuck the chin. Breathing out, getting a little bit deeper into your forward fold. Maybe now you need less of a bend. Reaching back with the right knee. Right knee meets the ground. Breathing in, left overhead, lunging forward. So these are our Sun Salutations. Hands meet the ground. Left knee meets the right. We're growing long, reaching forward. We bend at the elbows, lowering down. Hands go by our sides. Hips push into the mat. And we grow our legs long, and they naturally start to lift as our legs tense and our thighs push against the mat. Relaxing down, place your hands by your ribs, pushing back into a downward dog. Holding here for a moment. Pushing through all 4 limbs. Making sure that the whole of your hand can meet the mat. Pushing through the fingers and the knuckles. Maybe you have to widen your hands to make that happen. Maybe you have to reach them out a little further. Your hips reach to the sky. You soften your chest, widen your collarbones. Breathe. Drop the left knee down, the right knee propels forward to the right hand. Untuck the back toes, reaching forward. I'm going to go hands to heart center here because it's just enough as well. You can lift the breastbone here too. And then folding forward, bringing that back foot to meet the front foot, forward fold, bend the knees, hands on hips, come up flat back, push through the feet. Reaching up, breathing in. Breathing out, we're going to go straight into that swan dive on the other side. Forward fold. Stepping back with the left leg, knee meets the ground. Coming up, whichever you've chosen. Lift the breastbone. And forward. Back hands onto the mat. Right knee meets the left, grow long, tuck the elbows in and lower slowly to the mat. Hands by your sides, push your hips, push your thighs into the mat and let your feet lift off the floor. You can keep your feet together or any lower back issues, take your feet as wide as the mat as well. I like mine hip distance apart. Keep breathing. Relax down, hands by your ribs, push back, downward dog. hold it here. Find your place. Find your favorite position in this. And breathe. Look through your ankles, between your feet, between your knees. Just let your head hang. Maybe a couple of yes, no's with the head to tell the neck to relax. Downward dog, we use nearly every single muscle in our body, our legs, our core, shoulders, arms, but we do not use our head or face in this one. It's the only one. Dropping the right knee down, and the left foot comes by the left hand. Growing long, reaching up, wherever you've chose to take your hands, biceps by ears or hands to heart center. Lift the breastbone and then bring hands by that front foot. Bring the back foot to meet the front. Forward fold. Maybe get a little longer. Maybe let your thighs support your chest as it rests on it. Get your head heavy. Maybe some more yes, no. Bending your knees so your hands can reach the floor. Does work a lot on the quads here. Try and lift your hips to the sky to stretch your back body. Hands on hips, clip the shoulders back, bend your knees, coming up, flat back. Lift your arms overhead. And bring your hands down to heart center, Tadasana. Breathe. So take the time to recover your breath. So we do get our heart rate up in yoga, but in yoga we then are able to bring our heart rate back down because we have control. Take in some deep breaths in and out. Equal breath. And we're just going to come down onto our mat, laying on our backs. And I've got my hair in a terrible position, actually. That's not going to let me. You want your neck nice and long on the back of the mat and not with your bum in the way. Walk your shoulder blades down. So laying here on your back, you should have a nice little lumbar spine curve. That's the lower back curve. And we're going to walk our feet in to bend our knees. And you'll want to tuck your pelvis under slightly and that your lower back then meets the mat. There's a difference there, hopefully. Making sure that you're walking your shoulder blades down, they're not up by your ears. We're going to go into C2 Bandhasana, which is what we've done the last couple of weeks, or you know it maybe as a glute bridge. We're going to add some little bits on. So what we're going to do is we're going to lift the hip by pushing through the feet and the arms into the mat. We're going to lift up on the inhale and then come down on the exhale. So working with that equal breath, can we slowly lift up? So push through the feet, breathing in, 2, 3, 4, getting to the top, breathing out, 2, 3, 4. Let's go again, breathing in, 3, 4, breathing out, 2, 3, 4. So go at your own time, breathing in for 4 or whichever breath you, in for 3, in for 5, whichever it is, as long as it's equal. Pushing through the floor with your feet. Your knees are in line with your hips. So there's no flaring. And imagine you're squeezing a brick between your thighs. It'll engage your legs, it'll engage your core, you'll squeeze your bum at the top and then back down, creating length in the spine as you come back down, make it equal. So this is just mobilizing the spine, stretching and strengthening the back body, strengthening our legs, stretching the front body. And final time, just reach back down. This time we're going to see if we can add some arms. So when we add the arms, the weight moves more up into our shoulder girdle area. So it's going to look like this. We're going to breathe in, 2, 3, 4. We're going to take our arms overhead and then breathing out, 2, 3, 4. So join me, breathe in, push through the feet, 2, 3, 4. Breathing out, 2, 3, 4. Keep going, breathing in. So this one is a tough one because your hands have to move at a different speed to your legs, and breathing out. So it takes maximum focus and concentration and good self-study. You have to have a good awareness of your body and what is moving. You'll feel that you can maybe lift a little higher when your arms are coming off the mat, coming up into your shoulder blades. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4. Breathing out, 2, 3, 4. You want to really squeeze your bum at the top. The knees stay active. And final one, reaching the mat at the same time. Take your legs out long and then bring them into your chest. Give yourself a cuddle, relaxing off the lower back. So you have a choice here. You can roll over to one side and come up to a seated position. Or if you want to give it a go, we're going to do 5 rolls where we don't put our feet on the floor. 2. Going to roll up and down the spine, giving it a massage. 3, 4. Last is 1. 5. Can we hold it? Oh, squeeze the arm. And relax down. So we're going to go to a seated pose now, Sadhakanasana, which we've done before. So if you want to lift your hips, bring yourself onto a bolster or a big hard brick, or your pillows, 2 pillows, 1 pillow, whatever you want. We're going to do a seated position. I'm going to come a little closer, hopefully, so you can, oh no, you're still not going to be able to see me. Maybe you can do this. So lift your hips to where you need them to be. And you're going to have your feet out in front of you. Let's turn side on. Soles of the feet together. Back has its natural curves in. The shoulder blades are down. The crown of your head is growing long. If your back is giving in, lift your hips with a pillow or 2 and it will be so much easier. We use a lot of core strength just to hold us in this natural position. Your feet, you're going to have a choice this week. If you want to focus on a lower back stretch, then have your legs out in more of a diamond shape. And if you want to focus on a inner thigh stretch, adductor stretch, then you can bring your feet into your groin a little bit nearer. Choose whatever it is you want to work on. I'm going to go somewhere in the middle. We're going to lift up tall. And we're going to keep it really active. So I want your back really working here. I want your shoulders out of your peripheral vision, okay? So there's no rolling in. So lifting your chest. In fact, let's place our hands behind us, fingertips, and that'll encourage the activity in the back. So growing tall, and then I want you to lead with your heart and grow forward. I'm going to adjust my sitting bones slightly. Your tummy is working here, navel to spine. Your back is working here. This is truly unsatisfying because you know if you round your back, if you give into the posture, you can go deeper. But we're not working on that. We're working on actively folding forwards, okay? Keep breathing here. You can get as far forward as you can, as long as you're keeping the back muscles active, the back muscles, the spine straight. Breathe. And bring your hands forward, growing up and over. Now you can fold forward. If your feet are nearer to your groin, you're probably not going to fold as deep as those with the legs out long. You can rest your head in your hands and breathe. So last week we did Svadhyaya, self-study, and to be honest, now you know what it is, you forever do it. You always self-study in everything you do, every physical activity, every part of life. We study how we react or how our body is, and we learn from it and we get to know ourselves better. Dear Mental Health Week, I want to introduce you, while we're in this forward fold, to another yogic term called ahimsa, which means, well, actually it means non-violence, but how we can translate that is kindness to others. You've probably heard that in the mental health world. But how about kindness to yourself? Does that even happen? Growing tall, walking back out, hands behind you, support yourself as you lay back down into Shavasana, or just nice flat body. Just rest here. The back becomes neutral again. Legs out long. Maybe you can feel some noise or some energy behind your knees. Absorb it. Nice. So you can bring your knees into your chest. You can roll to one side and come back up to a seated, or we're going to try again for 5 rolls. Massage in the spine, your back, working the core at the same time. 4 and 5. Into a seated position, whichever way you got there, and coming up to standing. You're going to face me or the long edge of your mat, and we're going to take a wide legged pose. So we've done this one before, Padasana, wide leg forward fold. Take your feet as wide as you can, and then if you want to, you can either keep your legs parallel to the long edges of your mat, or if you want to, you can tuck your toes in slightly to become pigeon-toed, and this just activates leg muscles slightly more. It's easier to get into, and your hip bones turn slightly. The same as in Tadasana, you want that activity up the thighs, so push the feet into the mat. You want the long edges or your little toe edges of your feet also pressing into the mat. Shoulders back and down, navel to spine. We're going to place our hands on our hips and we're going to fold forward with a flat back like we do in the swan dive Tadasana. Push the hips back and you're going to come to half height. Tuck the chin, navel to spine, shoulders out of your vision, clipping the elbows back. This is intense. Breathe. And then fold forward, relax down. Let your hands meet the ground if they can. You can, if they don't, you can walk your legs out slightly, or you can hold on to your shins, hold on to your thighs, relax down. You can play around with the weight in your feet. Maybe they come into the balls of your feet and then your heels. What happens if you put the weight into your heels? Do you feel any more energy or any stretch in the back of your legs? And the same if you take the weight into the front, what happens there? Nice. Place your hands on your hips. Bend the knees, coming up to a flat back. And standing into Dasana. Shoulders back and down. Chin tucked, crown of the head growing long. So, kindness to ourselves. People ask us for help. We give advice. And we care for them and we make sure they're okay. And then something similar happens to us and we just ignore the advice we would give to others and maybe give us negative self-talk. We're not so kind, we're not so forgiving on ourselves. It's natural, we all do it. So we're going to do the Padasana again, but I want you to bring in a bit of kindness to yourself, which sounds a bit strange. Take your feet wide. So if I say to you, take your feet as wide as you possibly can, and that doesn't feel good for you, are you being kind to yourself? Or are you just beating yourself up because the teacher is telling you what to do and you don't, they don't know your body? So maybe being kind to yourself is actually walking your feet in a little bit further because that feels better. Choose the position that you want with your feet, pigeon-toed or wide edge, hands on your hips, navel to spine, shoulders back and down, chin tucked. We're going to lean forward, flat back, push the bum back a little bit. Hold it at that tabletop position so someone can balance some drinks on your back. Breathe in and breathing out, folding forward. And maybe you don't go as deep. Maybe you're not as, your inner thighs are not as flexible as you'd hoped, and you're saying to yourself, oh my God, I'm absolutely crap at this. Why didn't I ever do the splits when I was younger? Why did my mum send me to gymnastics? Why didn't I start this earlier? Why am I not as good as everybody else? And then we remember that we need to be kind to ourselves. And we let those feelings go. And we just concentrate on where our body is at now. I'm breathing in and out. Getting a stretch on the inner thighs, stretching the lower back. The glutes are doing something here. Your feet are working, strengthening the feet as they're pushing into the mat. Nice. Hands on hips, bend the knees, flatten the back, push through the feet, come up to standing, feet together, Tadasana. Close your eyes. In fact, bring your hands to heart center, close your eyes, and breathe that equal breath. Inhale matches the exhale, however many counts you choose. Hold it here. And enjoy the benefits of that inner thigh stretch. And open your eyes. We're going to widen the legs again, but not as wide as the previous pose. So, what's that? 3 to 4 foot is the official one. I'm not too sure. You're going to take your left leg and you're going to point it to the short end of the mat. So your feet are in line, and then you're going to take your right foot. You can either have it at 90 degrees or you can bring it in 45. So it's facing the corner as such. You're facing the same direction. Your hips are going to turn slightly. You want it so that your heels, the front heel and the back heel is in line, because we're going to go for Trikonasana, which is one of my favorite poses. It's intense, but there's so many variations. Lift your arms to a 90 degree. You're going to reach forward as far as you can, creating length in this side body. And then you're going to tip your torso and your arms to that straight leg. And if you can, I can't because the sun is in the way, you can gaze at your top hand. This one, a favorite teaching point of mine is that imagine yourself in a toaster. So you're going to be completely flat. You want your shoulders stacked on top of each other. You're encouraging this bottom shoulder under and the top shoulder back, okay? You can rest on your shin or on your thigh if actually this is where you come to. Absolutely fine. You want to try and bring this bottom hip also forward and roll the back hip, top hip back. Okie dokie. So you can have your hands out in front by your shin or resting on the shin. Breathe. Grow your side bodies long. So reach the crown of your head forward. To come out of this, you're going to bend the knee, navel to spine, come up, stand into Tadasana. Self-study here. Where can you feel it? For me, I can feel it in my side body, in my right side body. You may be feeling it in your thighs, in your inner thighs, maybe your shoulders. Let's take it to the other side. Take your legs out 3 or 4 foot. You can also, if you want to experiment, we do triangle this wide. If that was too much for you, maybe try doing it out longer. So we're just going to be here. Turn the right foot facing forward to the short edge of the mat. Turn that left one 45 degrees or keeping it at 90. Arms at T position. Even here, push into the floor with your feet and turn your pelvis to the side, okay? So that front foot is really pulling your pelvis to face this way, but you're going to push into the floor and use that resistance to leverage your pelvis straight, side on. Reaching forward, tipping the torso, and breathe. Growing the torso long, crown of your head growing forward. Hands directly up. If this is too much in your shoulders, take your hand behind your back and place the back of your hand on your sacrum. Okie dokie. You want to try and peel the top shoulder back and bring the bottom shoulder forward. At the same time, you're doing the same thing with your hips. You bring in that bottom hip forward, that right hip forward, and try and suppress that left hip back. Keep breathing. So if this is too intense and you lose your breath, walk it up a notch. Hand comes to the thigh, still creating that length in the torso. You can still get that twist of the hips and the shoulders stacking. Breathe. Bend in the front knee, navel to spine, coming up to Tadasana. Hands at heart center. So that is Trikonasana or triangle pose, one of my absolute favorites. I love the feeling I get from where it stretches me and strength at the same time. How do you feel about that pose? Have a little self-study. Was you kind to yourself? Did you see that I put my hand on my shin so you copied and you bullied yourself into going that deep? Or was you kind and said, no, that doesn't work for me, I'm going to put my hand on my thigh? Maybe you know for next time. I'm going to go into a little balance now. You are welcome to use the wall, to use any furniture to hold on to if you're on a thick carpet, which is normally me in the other room. I am terrible at balance, but today I'm on the pavement, so should be better. Have a feet at hip distance apart, just feel the weight, play around, putting your weight into one side of the leg and then the other side of the leg. So we've done this balance before, it's called Trikonasana. I'm going to place the weight into your right leg. This is your right leg. Making sure that you're not in the toes. The weight is not in the toes. Your toes are not gripping onto the mat. Pull it back a bit so you have equal weight between your heel and the ball of your foot. You're going to lift the right leg, squeeze that hip into the midline. The tummy is turned on, and you can choose where you want to put the right leg. It can be heel to the ankle with your big toe touching. It can be the foot to the shin, or if you're feeling flexible, you can take it right up to the thigh or into the groin. However, you're probably going to fall out like me. Wherever you put it, just do not put it over the knee joint, okay? That joint is not meant to be moved in that direction. I'm going to attempt to come up high. We'll see, we'll see. So suck in the right hip into the midline, squeeze that right bum cheek, navel to spine, navel to spine. I'm going to put it down here, I'm going to concentrate and focus on something. Hands to heart center, squeeze in, breathe in. Your foot is working hard, focus. I'm going to turn slightly so you can see me. From here, I want you to bend forward slightly from your hips. So just bring your torso down slightly. Your leg is still lifted, hands at heart center. You're going to take that foot away from the right leg, and you're going to take the leg backwards behind you, the lifted leg behind you. You're going to have both your heels in line. So the front heel down to the back heel, if there was an imaginary line, they'd be the same. The front foot still faces forward, back foot faces in a 45-degree angle. Let me turn for you. Okie dokie, going to bend the front knee, ribs facing the front. Lift your arms overhead. Or you can bring your hands to heart center if you don't have the shoulder mobility today to do this, and breathe. Squeezing the bum, navel to spine. Maybe you can lift the breastbone a little bit to grow tall. Push your feet into the mat to activate the legs. And here we are in warrior one. Breathe. Nice, long, active hands if you can't see. Or your hands at heart center works exactly the same. You get a little bit of a back bend here. Wherever you are, bring your shoulders back, okay? Bring them back. Keep pushing into the floor. Don't let that front knee collapse inwards. Let it go to the little toe edge of the mat. And breathe. And bring in both your feet together. I'm going to change so I'm facing you now. Into Tadasana, hands by your side. You just feel the effort in the legs. What often comes up for the balance, and you probably would have seen, I would have been the perfect example, is if we lose our balance, if we can't get our leg as high or we fall out of it, we beat ourselves up at this. I'm crap at balance, I can't do balance, balance is coming, and it's that negative self-talk again. There's no kindness to ourselves. So we're going to do it again on the other side. Believe that negative self-talk and just see what comes up. If we fall out of it, it's not important. So taking the weight into the opposite leg, sucking that hip into that hip joint, or your femur into your hip joint, squeezing that bum cheek and lift your leg wherever you choose it to be. I'm going to go for a moderate shin, hands to heart center, shoulders back and down, navel to spine, grow the crown of the head tall, root that standing foot into the mat. If you're falling out of it, who cares? Get back in when you can. Calm. Breath. Can you bring it into that equal breathing again? Pushing into the mat, keeping everything strong and stable. Maybe push your hands together, create stability as well. Tucking the chin in, blow the crown of the head tall. Very nice. And see, because I've just quit the negative self-talk, somehow this side becomes easier, better. From here, hinge at the hips so your chest comes slightly forward. You're going to take that lifted leg and place it behind you so that your heel is in line. Turn to face the side so you can see. Heels are in line. Back foot is at a 45-degree angle. Front foot facing the short edge of your mat. Bend the front knee and then get your torso to face forward to the front knee. Your hips, because your heels are in line and you're on a tightrope, your hips are going to want to pull you open. We're going forward. Hands to heart center first of all. Bend the front knee. Knee heading to that little toe edge. Pushing into the mat. Hands above your head if you want to. Biceps by your ears. Lift the breastbone. Squeezing the midsection. Feet pushing into the floor. Breathe. Hold. Warrior one. I guarantee they don't. They're not unkind to themselves. They don't talk negatively to themselves before they go into war. That's definitely not what they do. Very nice. From here, you're going to place your hands on the floor beside that front foot. So bend or change whatever you need to change to get there. You're going to roll that back foot so it's facing forward. Step the front foot back and you'll end up in a downward dog. Adjust your feet and hands to get to the position you want to achieve. Place your knees on the ground. Cross your feet. Come over to a seated position. And then you're going to come laying down on your mat. Feet on the ground, knees bent, knees into your chest. Have a little roll. And keeping your shoulder blades on deep into the mat, you're just going to drop your knees over to the left. Take your hands to a T position or cactus position. And you want to encourage that right shoulder to stay grounded. It may lift. Be kind to yourself. Don't force it. And navel to spine. Squeeze your tummy. Bring your knees back up to the center. Just drop them straight to the other side. Remembering that each side may be different. Try and keep that left shoulder grounded. You just try your best. If it doesn't stay grounded, it doesn't stay grounded. Breathe. Navel to spine. Turn the tummy on. Bring your knees back into the center. Take your legs out long. Hands by your side. Your final Shavasana. Walk the shoulders down your mat. Invite the natural curves of the spine back in. Let your feet drop out to the sides. Palms face the sky. Fingers curled because they're relaxed. And for the final few moments, can you make your exhale, your out breath, a little bit longer than your in breath? When we talk about breath, especially in yoga, and I say, breathe in, lift your arms overhead, breathe out, forward fold. And it's really, really difficult to do. It takes a lot of time to do that. If you don't get it, it doesn't matter. Don't be hard on yourself because you don't quite understand what I mean when I say something, or you just don't quite get it, you don't feel it in your body. Just be grateful for what you've achieved instead. The fact that you got your arms overhead at all. Who cares if it matches the breath? And just lengthen the exhale. My friend once told me, and she has children, that someone said to her, would you dare talk to your children the way you talk to yourself? And she said that from the moment she heard that, she never spoke that negative self-talk to herself again. Maybe some of you have children, maybe some of you recognize that. And if you do negative self-talk, just realize it, just observe it, and don't use that as a point to beat yourself up. And slowly start to wiggle your fingers and toes, maybe some wrist rolls, maybe your head from side to side. Bringing your knees into your chest. Let's give ourselves a big hug. So if you can, wrap your arms around your knees, bring your head to your knees and squeeze. And drop your knees over to the right. Push your hands through to the floor, come up to a seated position. Hands to heart center. We always promote kindness to others. We're always there to offer advice to everybody else, and often neglect kindness to ourselves, being forgiving to ourselves. It's okay, it's natural, but maybe we can start to turn that around now that we see that in ourselves. Thank you for practicing with me today on this glorious Wednesday and giving your time up to yourself, to your body, and spending time with me. Gently bow your head to your hands. Namaste, everybody. Well done. I'm going to unmute you, and the sun has drifted forward so you can